All right, we're going to begin this hour with a story about second chances and finding a new purpose in life. Nancy Chen visited a radio station that's become the first of its kind in the country, and she got to know a little bit more about the powerful stories of the people behind the microphone.
It is 42 past the hour. Spinning this music for you, man.
90 miles east of Denver, this Colorado radio station runs like any other.
I'm your host, Benny Hill, and I've got a good show in store for you today.
But the on-air hosts are inmates here in Lyman Correctional Facility.
Testing mic 1.
Testing mic 2.
Jody Aguirre has been in prison for 3 decades. Where he goes and when are strictly limited. But his voice is one of a handful.
So imagine the scenery as you listen to the words of this song.
Now traveling far beyond the barbed wire fences. Broadcast to all of Colorado's correctional facilities and streamed online to the public, this is Inside Wire, the nation's first and only statewide prison radio system.
Coming up right now, we're going to go into a nice, soft song.
What do you like most about being on a radio station?
We are being something better than we've been told we've been all of our lives.
Let's appreciate the now, the right here and now.
Aguirre is one of 14 inmates selected across 4 prisons to DJ and produce shows on Inside Wire, which launched in March.
I am your host, Joaquin Matez, and I am back once again to help you get your morning started off on the right track.
Though the station broadcasts 24/7, each episode is pre-taped and screened by staff, and often ends on a note of encouragement.
You are worth something, and you are valuable, and you can maybe be on the radio one day, right?
There are people who might be watching this who say, how come this is a luxury that you're able to do here?
I would say to them, what would you rather have us be doing in here? Beating each other up, or creating music shows and radio and helping our fellow men in here and women in here?
Do you find that it also humanizes people who a lot of the world forgets about?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It shows that we are humans who love and care and have compassion, regret, remorse.
And Aguirre says those emotions can often be painful. He was sentenced to life in prison in 1992 for charges including murder. Driven to despair in solitary confinement 20 years ago, Aguirre says he tried to take his own life until something came over the prison's radio system.
This song, Don't Give Up, by Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush, came on. I don't remember what song was on before that.
Don't give up.
All I remember is that I heard those words, don't give up, we love you, and I just forgot everything I was doing, and here I am. You know, I didn't die that day.
It spoke to you.
And that's what I hope to do. I want this radio program to save somebody's life, to lift somebody up.
That connection is what Inside Wire General Manager Ryan Connerow envisioned.
You can come up to full with the faster after your voicer ends.
When he helped launch the station in partnership with the University of Denver's Prison Arts Initiative.
The best we can do when any of us commits harm is actually work to take responsibility for that, to repair that, and then go forward.
So you're trying to create a community here?
Yes, there's a community at each prison, but whether or not the people there, both who work there and live there, view it or think of it as that, that's the question.
And the answer has been forming here in real time.
Up to the minute with Mr. Dean Williams himself.
Programming on Inside Wire includes inmates interviewing correctional officers and other prison staff.
After me, please. Projection.
Projection.
Articulation.
Articulation.
Inflection.
Inflection.
Connerow guides inmates on the basics of broadcasting, editing, and even using a computer, many for the first time ever.
It seems like it's about much more than just a radio station.
It really is.
Inside Wire!
Inside Wire!
95% of people in this country who are incarcerated are going to be returning to their communities. And so when they do that, how can we be a part of that being a productive, positive journey? And I think Inside Wire can be a little part of that.
How much do you take into consideration victims' concerns here?
We take victims' concerns very seriously. If someone is going to move from committing harm to repairing that harm, that includes that person taking accountability. And if the victim wants to engage in that dialogue, then that's how the person needs to show up.
Inside Wire's name refers to wire as a connection.
Ready for some football, you know what I mean?
A connection that has the power to travel 90 miles, reaching Aguirre's daughter, Amber Baca.
My boys get to listen to him, my husband, and so it makes a sense of like we're together even though we can't be.
She was just 11 years old when her father was arrested.
I'm gonna take you into some cool songs right now.
Now she listens first thing every Tuesday morning when his show airs.
Are you proud of your dad?
I'm very proud of my dad. The strength that he has and the strength that he's been able to withhold this whole time, I feel like most people would crumble under, but he just strives and gets higher and higher. And that's really important to me.
Why is that?
Because I love him and he deserves it. He's worked really hard at being the best person that he can be.
Though he'll likely never leave prison, Aguirre is striving to be a better man than the one who first walked in.
Dude, I remember.
I go to my cell and I feel like I've accomplished something every day. All you have to do is be better. It's as simple as that.
And the Inside Wire team hopes to expand beyond the 4 prisons they're in right now to others across Colorado and perhaps in other states as well. And you really see the conversation it opens up not only between the staff and the inmates, but also it changes the dynamic between the prisoners as well.
But just what he said, all you have to do is be better.
Yeah.
Be better. It's as simple as that. I also like what he said. It shows that we are something better than what we've been told that we are all of our lives.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful story.
Powerful story, and I appreciate the broadcasting tips there as well.
Yeah.
Of course. Right? Projection, articulation, and inflection.
Now, we're all going to be doing that. Yeah. That was
good tips to learn.
That was really good. Oh my
You can
God.
see how good it makes him feel and what he's doing for other people too.
And it also serves as an incentive as well.
Yeah.
Yes, because not everyone gets to participate in this program in that prison. You have to earn that privilege to be able to do this. And it also changes, I think, their identity in a way, gives them purpose in a time that can feel very helpless.
Nancy, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow again on What to Watch. As we continue our Two Americas series, exploring the America you may know and the one you may not. Tonight, News 5's Allison Zimmerman takes us inside the Lyman Correctional Facility to introduce us to the world's newest radio show hosts.
When you think of a radio studio, you may not think of it inside of a prison, which may be the exact purpose behind what's happening here.
Good morning, Colorado, and welcome to Inside Wire Colorado Prison Radio.
For many of us, time is precious.
Ruth, I hear that you have a great sense of humor.
And here in the Lyman Correctional Facility,
The joke of the day.
okay, time is something top of mind. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Let us.
Lettuce?
Let us in.
That's a great which is.
And inmates like Jody Aguirre are now spending time behind a mic, launching a first-of-its-kind radio show.
Realize that we're not enemies. We are human beings.
Of course, we're human beings, but to show that the resilience and the perseverance.
Which is why Inside Wire was born, to give some change to those serving time.
There are so many people in here that are good people that made a mistake, that were thrown away as irredeemable.
Our job is to ask the question of them and of us, now what?
Dean Williams is the director of the state's Department of Corrections.
Culture where it's us against them, and the people who are in our custody are like, we hate you, we have nothing in common with you, and they're fighting against us. Prison culture becomes really dark.
The radio show is part of Williams' mission to rethink the stigma of prison.
And guess what? They don't get better. they get worse. They become our neighbors.
Some of them will be here for life. Their hope is for this to be a space for change.
But I think the more important aspect should be healing. Let's start healing.
But others will make it out.
Majority of these dudes behind these walls, they work on themselves and growing, knowing that we have to come back to these same communities where ours.
And this is one of a handful of programs the DOC is doing. Currently, they're training about 24 inmates here to eventually become chaplains. In Lyman, Allison Zimmerman, News 5.
Allison, thanks. Now, if you're interested in hearing the broadcast from Colorado Prison Radio, we have the information on our website at KOAA.com. Lots still ahead here on.
Welcome back. Here on Fox 4 News, our goal is to highlight local stories and people. Well, today is a little bit different. We're focusing our camera lens on a few of the people who live behind our state's prison walls. Today, I met with some inmates from Colorado's Lyman Correctional Facility and found out what inspired them to create the nation's first prison radio station.
You're listening to Inside Wire, Colorado Prison Radio.
Check, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Here we go.
Away we go.
Colorado welcomes the nation's first prison radio, a station inmates built for other inmates. Let's tune in.
If you just come to prison, if you've been here a long time, this is for y'all.
Today we're talking about Inside Wire, Colorado Prison Radio, the actual name and what is in the name.
What is the resonance of the word inside for you? What is the resonance of the word wire for you?
Wire illustrates there's power inside. It's sending a signal.
And for me, when I think about Inside Wire, not just only being incarcerated in relation to the word inside, but what's going on inside us every day.
Inside Wire reaches more than 14,000 incarcerated listeners in Colorado, but it's not just for people in prison.
The issue of incarceration affects all of us, even if you feel like you're far from it.
Denver's prison arts program employees brought the idea to life during the pandemic, a time where all of society was isolated, but especially those behind bars.
It's a fundamental human need to be able to feel heard and understood. And radio is a powerful medium for that.
This relationship building between them and us really matters.
For them to know that there's men in here that are trying to make a difference and to give back for some of the stuff that they have done, and they're living better lives. That's super important.
The 24-hour program is available inside prison and out on the Inside Wire mobile app, so anyone can listen to the stories of those looking for light in the darkness.
Prison is prison. There's still a dark side of this place. And I created some bad harm out there.
And a way to forgive themselves first, so others may eventually do the same.
The power, the energy that we're going to be able to recreate through these stories, through these testimonies, through even the upbeat, the fun, men to know that, there's still something more for me.
Using the power of hope to inspire prisoners who will someday walk out these doors and back into society, and even those who remain inside the wire to keep hope alive. Officials say 90 to 95% of incarcerated people will be released from prison and return to communities as our neighbors. Colorado's Department of Corrections values the importance of this program in its effort to give those serving time a purpose. Inmates will feature an unfiltered talk with the director of Colorado's Department of Corrections on Friday. Head to westernslopenow.com for more information on how you can tune in. And don't go far. Fox 4 News will be right back.
It's a reality that's long caused consternation and controversy in this country. With some 2 million inmates, the U.S. has the largest prison population in the world and the highest per capita incarceration rate.
We've made prisons a really punitive place in this country, and it hasn't served us well.
Dean Williams runs Colorado's prisons, where half of those released go on to reoffend.
We've made them places of starkness and idleness, without purpose or without meaning. And that's a problem because it makes it harsher for them. And guess what? It makes it harsher for the people who work here too.
Good morning, Colorado. Enter Inside Wire, the first statewide prison radio station in America.
And I'm over here today with DJ.
15 inmate staffers team up to create a variety of pre-recorded content that 14,000 incarcerated residents can listen to in their cells and outsiders can access via the internet.
I just like the possibilities of it.
Darius Turner, convicted of second-degree murder, is one of the producers.
Just having this space to just come and work hard, do good things for something greater than myself,
This is an outgrowth of the University of Denver's Prison Arts Initiative, an ambitious effort to engage, stimulate, and humanize those who live just behind the razor wire.
I get the incredible pleasure of watching day in and day out the way that this work impacts incarcerated people.
Ashley Hamilton is co-founder of the initiative.
I'm more than cool, bro.
She argues the arts can play a key role for residents on their journey of redemption.
Folks who are in prison are not just their crime. They're full humans who did create harm, and many of them are grappling with that harm in really deep ways. I don't believe you can create powerful art without being self-reflective.
Integrity of their job.
Telling stories of prison life is the backbone of what Inside Wire does. And because this is radio, that means gathering audio wherever it happens to be. These guys learn to manage stress and conflict like any other workplace.
Part of the skills building that we've been working on in each team is how do we cultivate trust, vulnerability, authenticity with each other in conversation on a microphone.
So singing.
Like his colleagues, Jody Aguirre, serving life without parole for felony murder, knew nothing about computers, much less radio.
But I felt like a janitor in a spaceship when I first sat down there. It's second nature now. I still have some struggles, but I'm loving every bit of it.
Williams admits lots of work remains to be done.
A radio station is not going to change the entire prison culture on its own.
But it's a step, he believes, towards making facilities like this one safer and more rehabilitative and educating the public about places so many Americans call home. Hendrik Sabrandi, CGTN, Lyman, Colorado.
I'm about to record a regular top of the hour station ID spot. You're listening to Inside Wire, Colorado Prison Radio. And I'll just save it, and then I could either add music to it or just leave it like that, and it'll just play at the top of the hour or throughout the day. Simple as that. My name is Cynthia Gonzalez. We're at Denver Women's Correctional Facility and the Inside Wire studio. We produce spots, content spots for the radio station.
Inside Wire, Colorado Prison Radio is the first statewide prison radio station in the country and the first in the world to stream to the public. We have incarcerated producers who are creating all of the content under the guidance of Ryan Canaro, our general manager of Inside Wire.
This is our Inside Wire studio. This is Amber Pierce, my co-worker, hard at work.
We're following a sort of community radio model: music, talk, entertainment, stories. When we talk about the storytelling pieces, the narrative pieces, I talk a lot with the teams that I get to work with inside facilities about the fact that one of their sort of superpowers is that they live here. They're here in prison, and their perspective on that, on what life is like here and what the system is, has been, could be, is unique.
He's constantly working with us, and he's a really good teacher, he's a very good boss. This is all his markings of working hard with us. It is about connecting with people. I have life without parole for a felony murder charge. I know that as a person, I've caused harm, and I know that I can't take that back. And every day I wake up in here and I think about my victim's family. When I came into prison, I was just a teenager. I've been incarcerated for 25 years now, and probably for a good 20 years I coasted through my DOC sentence. And now I wake up every day with meaning and purpose, because I can be a voice for the facility, because I can connect our world to the community.
It was a very intentional, big, complex decision to say we're going to stream this to the public. The public can tune in. I think that the possibility of complicating the narrative of a very two-dimensional view of what prison is and who is in prison is a really important thing. People live here, work here, they're growing and changing, and many of them choose to seek to better themselves.
I think that when we commit our crimes and we get sentenced to DOC, it just becomes like lock us up, throw away the key and forget about us. And that's not how it is. We believe in bettering ourselves. Now, I can say that, hey, here's our chance to show the community that through our rehabilitation, we are making changes, and this is how we are making changes. And this is the only way we're going to show the community that we're different people now, that we've grown, that we've changed.
We're about 60 seconds with the launch of Inside Wire, Colorado Prison Radio. 11, 10, 9, separation confirmed, guidance now converging. Gentlemen, Inside Wire, Colorado Prison Radio is about to connect to all Colorado prisons and beyond.
So Inside Wire is a program of the University of Denver Prison Arts Initiative. It's a 24/7 radio station starting at 11 o'clock this morning. So beginning at 11, we have this launch broadcast. Then we go to a hosted 4-hour music show. And then we have a series of programs which are here and on our coloradoprisonradio.com website. So it's a range of DJ'd hosted music shows, feature shows where people conduct interviews and share their life stories, interviews about music, so a whole range of things.
So one of the things that we try to do here at Inside Wire is give these people who are voiceless a voice. What do they have to say? We're finding that these people come in with these stories that are heartfelt, that they actually care, that they have struggles, they have triumphs, they have victories. So when we start tapping into those little nuggets of these ingredients with these people who have these voices, then we start tapping into human truth. And when you start tapping into human truth and you expose those threads, then none of us are wearing green. We're all the same in this room.
Would that be easier?
Okay, what I got involved in the first place was simply to just get involved with music. I've always been involved with music. Prisoners are very deprived of music, except for what's on the radio.
The one universal thing in our world is music. Like even the stars have a harmony to them. Everything in existence has a harmony to them. So when people connect to music, it's really easy to get to them. That's how the walls fall and how these men start to connect with each other.
You know, as we all know, this is your day, and this is your day. And so just congratulations to you on your work. And so
it's been a transformative experience, I think, for every one of us who've been working so closely together. I think this is our belief about arts-based programming in general, that it's, you know, some ways almost more about how you're doing what you're doing as opposed to what. Yes, we want to have the highest aesthetic standards we can, the standards of quality, and we seek those. But in the seeking of that, it makes the work more rigorous, it makes the challenges harder, and it makes the rewards even greater as we push through those challenges, whether they're technical, interpersonal, etc. So I think we grow in our relationships and understanding of each other, and I think that kind of growth and impact is what we hope is going to happen to listeners.
I just, in a million years, I'd never thought that this would be possible in the prison system. That name alone kind of just screams negativity, but you know, this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever been a part of in my life. It is definitely the light that a lot of these guys may need to come out of the darkness of these walls.
Ultimately, I hope that people will see that they will hear the stories, they will hear the interviews, and they will hear the voices and see that, you know, we're not living Shawshank Redemption. You know what I mean? Right. That we're actually human beings and we care about each other and we care about all of you also.
Testing 1 2 1 2.
Here we go.
Away we go. Good morning, Colorado, and welcome to Inside Wire, Colorado Prison Radio.
You're kicking it today with QVO.
That's this week's Hotlines on Inside Wire.
Good afternoon. This is Darius Turner, your host.
Thank you for listening to Inside Wire, Colorado Prison Radio.
Radio broadcast brought to you by the incarcerated for the incarcerated.
Let's have a snap party.
We are running the first statewide prison radio station in U.S. history. And it is a thrill and a challenge every day to be co-managing and co-creating this thing, along with producers inside Lyman Correctional Facility, Denver Women's, and Sterling Correctional Facilities, and the support of the rest of the DUPI staff. And it is a big day today because we are installing our studio. Very exciting.
I'm so excited. I can't even stand it. Like, I feel it's amazing. It's been a long time for me to like get up in the morning and I'm like, I'm so excited to go to work in prison.
I was this morning like, I need the headphones, I need to work.
You know, there's a big picture here, what we're trying to do, and creating industry standard quality is what we wanted. So we had to come together and work with each other to make things happen for the greater of the radio station.
Behind the mic with Benny is Inside Wire features a whole range of programming.
Drake's name is actually Aubrey Drake Graham.
Music, talk, narrative storytelling, interview-based work, information, audio bulletin boards.
First, you apply to get SNAP benefits.
Interviews between residents of facilities and staff.
On Up to the Minute with Mr. Dean Williams himself.
This is a big deal, and this is changing a lot of things.
And original music content by incarcerated people as well.
This is him right here.
Inside Wire, as you know, is created by the incarcerated for the incarcerated. We're trying to unite a divided inmate population.
How does humanity break out in a place that has never cared about humanity broke out between us?
When we bring in a staff member and they talk about how they care and the life that they had, that they're a mother, they're a father, it begins to humanize people.
We can find a way to connect with each other through our stories, through our talent.
Even reconnecting, hopefully, with our victims. For them to know that there's men in here that are trying to make a difference and to give back for some of the stuff that they have done. And they're living better lives. That's super important.
Today we're talking about Inside Wire, Colorado Prison Radio, the actual name and what is in the name.
We had this whole process of brainstorming names, identifying a name for the station. What is the resonance of the word inside for you? What is the resonance of the word wire for you?
Wire illustrates there's power inside. It's sending a signal.
Wires that people use in CSP to send out toothpaste,
Chips.
cakes and chips and whatever they need to get done, you know.
You take your boxers and you take all the string out of it, you twist it up, you make a line, and you slide it under that little gap underneath your door, and you can send a message or food or whatever up to the top tier. That's how guys communicate.
Being locked in those cells, not having contact 23 hours out of the day,
Right.
and having a yearning and a longing to be able to reach somebody, or even just somebody reach out to you to where you know you're not alone. And for me, when I think about Inside Wire, not just only being incarcerated in relation to the word inside, but what's going on inside us every day.
When I was in the system, really the worst thing was just the boredom and the lack of stimulation and the lack of really anything like Inside Wire to kind of connect you to the outside world, to connect you with other people, to connect you with yourself and remind yourself that you're not just the worst thing that you've ever done.
Ready?
You're listening to Inside Wire, building our community, one show, one song, one voice at a time. It sounds so different now.
It would be so good for the community to see that this culture that's been buried within these walls, that we are still growing and we are still changing.
If I had something like this coming up early on in the system, it would have clicked sooner that it was okay to be myself. It was okay to take off the mask or shed whatever facade that I felt that I needed throughout the years in order to survive.
If we come in just bearing our souls and trying to be the best that we can be for each other, that will spread amongst the rest of the prison.
Not entitled to, but we're trying to make these efforts to change as well.
The power, the energy that we're going to be able to recreate through these stories, through these testimonies, through even the upbeat, the fun, you know, men to know that, you know what, there's still something more for me.
I know what it means to be able to have a platform. I know what it means to be able to have a voice, and I get to be in a position to give that space to other people, to have their voices heard.
And as a listener, I can't get enough of that. It's just like sharing and breaking bread with your family.
We are working in the studio. To be able to turn on that dial and feel like someone's there with you is, I think, such a powerfully fundamental human thing.
One time I was really in the really darkest depths of solitude over there, because you don't communicate with anybody. So all these thoughts go through your head, and this song "Don't Give Up" came on the radio at that moment, and I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy, man. That lady doesn't realize that she saved my life, man. You know, and hopefully we can do that for somebody. We can give somebody hope through our Inside Wire radio.
And this is the platform that I truly believe Inside Wire has, that we have a responsibility for.
What are you going to do to invest in the fellow human being? Because ultimately, man, if you can care about somebody, which is not easy work at all, then I think you've really done something special.
Our security protocols, procedures we have in place have always been built to keep electronic communication outside of the facilities and not inside.
If I want to send a message, I just select and it'll tell me the message cost is 25, which is 25 cents, and I can start typing away. Whatever song I want, whatever artist, if it has it, it will come up. I can add it to a playlist. I can see.
You're not going to get bullied because you have your own portable phone. You cannot download anything on them. It's all Wi-Fi, no internet access whatsoever. That way we know if they've tampered with it in any way, if they've removed the screws or tried to take it apart. The new generation, they're more comfortable texting, and so the offenders, the communication with their loved ones, with their kids have increased.
Your only connection to the outside world is your family, your friends. If I go outside and have an issue with someone in the yard, I can come back in here and just unwind and put a game on, or, you know, listen to music. My stepmom, she's like, well, why should you have games and stuff in prison? And I've explained to her, you know, you get bored in here. Your mind travels, you know, and when you have a system you can go to that's positive, it changes your perception. I'll focus more on staying out of trouble and more or less back to, okay, I can focus on something positive.